talk to a partner who's immature. I just had my Dinner with a Sex Therapist event on Saturday, and I'm doing another one in April, so please stay tuned for tickets. But one of the participants privately asked, so we always do private questions where you can slip basically index cards to me privately, and I answer them publicly. And one person asked, what do you do if you have an immature partner and you're trying to figure out sex stuff? It's interesting because at the event there was a heckler. So if you've ever been to a comedy show, hecklers are people who are competing for the attention of the person on stage. And I'm telling you, by and large, I always have a heckler at one of my events. I do not want them, but they happen. So I have to learn how to work and address a heckler. And so essentially, I assume the heckler was the wife of the heckler is the one writing the question. I do not know, but that is what I believe. And so at the time, I didn't have a really good answer, but when I think about it now, think of why somebody might be acting immature around sex, right? It is an uncomfortable conversation. And one way that people handle discomfort is through humor, making jokes, not really being direct about the conversation. So one way I addressed the heckler in my own speech was I encouraged positive behavior and I discouraged negative behavior, right? So if he made a joke but it was actually relevant to the topic, then I encouraged him for like adding to the conversation. And when he did answer things that really weren't helpful or positive, what I did is I would say, yeah, that's not an answer that's relevant, and I just moved on. So I didn't necessarily put him down, but I just redirected my attention towards something that would make the situation better. I also made sure in the talk to share space with other people. So everybody did raise their hands, even my heckler did sometimes, although he had to be kept in check some. So I had other people, I gave more space to other people. And if you were having somebody who is heckling you in your relationship or just constantly making jokes, you can use this sort of similar approach, right? So ignore bad behavior. So if they're responding in a way that is not helpful or beneficial to the conversation, then you direct your attention elsewhere or keep going on your topic. You can say, well, that's not relevant to what we're talking about, and I need you to be relevant. One thing, so I actually get this from school teachers, but like anytime you have a kid heckler, so there's kids that are little hecklers in teacher classrooms, and a lot of times they just want to be more a part of the experience. And so one way you can get them involved is get them to be helpers in the class or leaders in some way. Like ignite their sense of I'm doing something for the greater good, essentially, of the class. And so if you were thinking about this in a couples relationship, you could invite your partner who's a little bit immature to help out in some way by saying, hey, this is actually a really hard conversation for me. It would help me a lot if you would stay on task and really listen and give me a space to process some of my emotions. So like basically ignite the leader in them or the person who wants to talk. You can encourage the positive feedback that they give or feedback that's at least helpful. You can point out to them things like, yeah, when you make jokes, it makes it harder for me to talk. But when you listen and you're present with me, it becomes easier for me to talk. Other things that it's funny, I think of ADHD kids when I'm thinking about my hecklers of like, how do you wrangle in ADHD kids? Give them something physical to do. So if you and your partner are talking and you have a partner who just gets antsy having conversations, walk and talk with each other, drive and talk. So get them a little bit distracted, just slightly. Sometimes these are ways to help with an immature partner to like bring them down a notch and help them to do the conversation, but not in a way that, in a way that makes it go in a direction that's helpful. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to talk with an immature partner, and I think that always you can come see me as a therapist. That is my job, is to help people talk better and understand each other better. So anyhow, if you would like to come to my Dinner with a Sex Therapist event, I have another one coming in April and in June and possibly in September. So these are going to be a thing. Please visit my website, therapistintlouis.com, and submit a contact form that will put you in my newsletter so that you can find out about all the cool events and things that I am offering in this next year. And please subscribe, submit comments below about what you've done to help an immature partner grow up or what you've seen other people do. Thank you for watching as always.